Before we get too far into these videos, I want you to know who I am, where I'm coming from, and why I'm so passionate about using a raw food diet for cleansing. I didn't start out with a passion for healthy eating. I didn't used to understand the impact food choices had on my life. I was one of those people who obligingly ate salads from time to time and tried to remember to include a vegetable with dinner. I felt intuitively that I could improve my life with my food choices, but I was totally guessing my way through the process. I started by switching to low-fat, low-cal, fat-free, cholesterol-free products. You name it. If it was marketed as better, healthy, or natural, I thought it might make a difference, but it didn't. In fact, I started feeling and looking physically worse, which made me feel emotionally worse, which was mentally taxing. I had terrible mood swings, fluctuating weight, high cholesterol, skin breakouts, and a feeling that I just wasn't getting the most out of life. I was also growing increasingly frustrated with my failed attempts to get pregnant. I even switched to organic everything, and that didn't help. Dietarily, it felt like I was flipping channels, but never able to tune into something that really worked. But one day, my husband gave me an educational series by Tony Robbins. It was called Living Health. And in that course, I heard things that really resonated with me. Primarily, the teachings of Dr. Robert Young. Now, to put Dr. Young's teachings very succinctly, he believes that disease in the body is a direct result of over-acidification, and that you can heal it by alkalizing. As I went on to learn, this was not a new idea. Nobel Prizes had been awarded decades earlier for the same basic, pun intended, concept. I got really curious and even went to hear Dr. Young's lectures. And wherever he spoke, I met people who had made massive overhauls in their lives from alkalizing. It was beyond inspiring. I saw morbidly obese people that were fit and trim. I talked with diabetics who were no longer insulin dependent, and people who had formerly suffered from confidence-killing skin conditions that had glowing complexions. I talked with women who had endured procedure after procedure in attempts to get pregnant, and although the medical procedures had failed them, they stood before me holding their babies and explaining how alkalizing had enabled them to conceive. Well, you can imagine how excited I got. It seemed easy enough, so I thought, sign me up. There was one big problem. My passion for cooking and my desire for vital health would start clashing like the titans. Why is that? Because the meal plans in Dr. Young's book were big on broccoli, kale, and avocados, but disappointingly low on flavor. Not to mention, a very favorite ingredient of mine was not on the foods you were allowed to eat, and that's cheese. Well, luckily, just about the time I started to feel frustrated, I met Chad Sarno. He was giving a cooking demonstration on raw cuisine, in which he introduced me to the power of raw foods. Now, not only did this man set me on another quest for nutritional information, he also told me how to make a raw food version of cheese. Raw cuisine offered the diversity and taste that Dr. Young's protocol lacked. So my husband ordered every book the library had on raw foods, and while we waited, I reached high up on our bookcase and dusted off Raw, a book by Roxanne Klein and Charlie Trotter. Now, why was that beautiful book dusty? I'll tell you, because I had bought it a year or two prior for the gorgeous photos, but had experienced ego-crushing failures trying to make the meals, and I gave up. I decided raw food was for unemployed people with too much time on their hands. And that brings me to the big problem that I found with the raw food diet. It was too difficult. It was too time-consuming and restrictive. Although I found as many inspiring stories of healing from raw foods as from alkalizing, the people I interviewed had some really major health issues. I'm talking about cancer, diabetes, crippling obesity. These kind of things served as massive inspiration for these people to stick with the diet. So where would the average person like me find the motivation and the time to make such a commitment? It needed to be easier. It needed to fit into my daily life. So I was determined. I wanted to combine the benefits of alkalizing and the diversity, and of course the cheese, that came with this new culinary frontier of raw cuisine. So I experimented, I studied, and I became a mad scientist in the kitchen. I set out to do 3 things: alkalize, consume more foods in their raw form, and to make recipes that were motivating for me to eat simply because I loved them. I experimented with dishes that fell under the raw platform and the alkalizing platform, and I drew from my own extensive culinary repertoire. And I tried to keep each dish in 10 to 15 minutes prep time and keep them really simple with as few dirty dishes as possible. That would remove the barriers to me actually making these foods after a long day at work. Here's the results I got for myself and for other people since then. The diet worked. I loved the foods. I started feeling great. My mood swings fell away, and the more raw foods I ate, the more energy I had. My skin looked fabulous. I lost 10 pounds, but that didn't last long because I got pregnant after only 4 months of changing my diet. My body was operating at its peak. I could feel it. I could feel it when I woke up, when I practiced yoga, and whenever I was working. I just felt present, clear, and really focused. So I decided to compile the recipes and all the concepts I had learned into my first book, The Delicious Revolution. I hoped it would be a gateway drug to healthy eating, mixing alkalizing and raw cuisine with dishes that would definitely be considered taboo in either of these very restrictive dietary communities. My belief was, and it still is to this day, that taste has to be the motivating factor in healthy choices. The book also expressed my feeling that we need flexibility in our diets so that we can be social and we can enjoy the culinary delights that life has to offer. Now, 2 things happened after I released the book. First, I got totally hooked on raw foods, on the way they made me look and feel, so I enrolled in the Living Light Culinary Arts Institute to master the science behind raw food nutrition and to follow in the footsteps of Chad Sarno and Roxanne Klein. Second, my readers started demanding cooking classes. They wanted more of the raw dishes, more salad recipes, and more healthy fast food. Why did they want more? Because they were seeing improvements. They were shedding pounds, feeling energetic, bragging about their boosted immunity. They told me they had glowing skin, and they started feeling thrilled about how sexy they were. These changes started happening for people when they started implementing the simple strategies that I put in a PDF book called 5 Easy Changes to Lose 5 Pounds. I made that book to give people just a small taste of how easy it could be to see results quickly. It includes easy guidelines to make simple changes and gives an easy recipe for making each change. Fast results were addictive. People wanted more. They wanted step-by-step directions. They wanted to be told exactly what to do and what to eat each day. Now, if I was going to provide this sort of need, I would settle for nothing less than giving my community the knowledge and skills to improve their lives by improving their diets. I knew that each person's physiology and needs would be unique, but I also knew that there was one common thread that all of our diets have in common, and that's the need for fresh fruits and vegetables. So I used the science behind raw food nutrition and a whole lot of recipe testing to create the Rock and Body Raw Food Diet. So that's my story and the story of how Rock and Body Raw Food was created. If you'd like a copy of the book I mentioned earlier, 5 Easy Changes to Lose 5 Pounds, you can download it by clicking below. Or you can take an even bigger step and sign up for the Rock and Body Raw Food members only site by clicking Add to Cart. Since I offer a risk-free, no questions asked guarantee, you can try the whole diet and see if you like it. Whatever you're ready for, it's time to act now. Changes don't happen while you're thinking about them, they happen when you act.